Hello once again, my name is Juicy Pat Lucy, and once again the Juice JT Dunn is not here with me, but that's alright, trust me, he's doing much bigger and better things than this podcast. Please take my word for it, I still love you, JT. Nonetheless, this is episode 18 of the Juicy Details. Now, it is 2014. Yes, that's right, we survived 2013. Believe me, I'm just as shocked as you are. With it being January 2014 is another new month, that means another new theme. And this month's theme is International Month. This month's theme is International Month. Now, what that means is I'm going to have guests come on who've traveled all over the world, all up and down the roads, and I'm going to have them discuss their stories of going down the roads, whether it being going to Canada, Japan, Mexico, Europe, nothing's off limits here. I hope I can get a guest on that went to Mexico, because any wrestling fan knows that Mexico is, without a doubt, one of the craziest places for wrestling, and just it's a crazy place in the world, let's just face it. Them Mexicans are weird. If one or two Mexicans are listening to this, sorry if I offended you. But not that sorry. Without any further ado, let's get right into the show. Alright, so joining me on episode 18 of the Juicy Details as part of International Month this month is none other than someone who's been up and down the roads for the past, 10 going on 15 years is quite the career for you. So my guest right now is BJ Whitmer. How you doing tonight, BJ?
I'm doing good. About yourself?
Good. How's the weather treating you right now?
It's snowing down here in Cincinnati, so got a little bit of snow on the ground. I guess it's supposed to get a little more overnight, drop down to about single digits. I think they're still calling for like 5 degrees tomorrow morning, something like that. So it's nice and cold and nasty out down here.
Oh, jeez. Well, if it makes you feel any better, it's not any better here in Cleveland. We're getting close to 6-7 inches of snow until 1 a.m. tonight, and it's not letting up.
Yeah, it sounds like it's just as nasty up there as it is down here.
Yeah, that's true, and, well, could be worse. We could be in Canada. It's like, this is like a normal day to them, I think.
Yep.
And how was your holidays? We're just coming off the holidays.
Oh, not too bad. Yeah, had a good Christmas, pretty boring. New Year, sit around. Didn't decide not to go out, get out. Too many people getting out, wanting to party that don't usually party, so I just took it easy, stayed at home, watched some football.
That's good, that's good. That's good. So getting right into the interview. Now, most interviews start with asking where you started, how you became a fan, maybe where you trained at. But someone like you, I know you've done plenty of interviews, been plenty of shoots. So I want to get right into the question of, well, because it's International Month. My first question is, it was in 2001, like summer 2001, only after maybe 2 years or so after you first broke into the business, you went to Japan. I believe you worked with the Pro Wrestling Noah promotions, and you teamed up with guys like Matt Murphy and Too Cold Scorpio. And so I want to ask a couple questions about that, and what was it like for you being so young and so new to the business? What was it like for you going to Japan to wrestle there?
Yeah, I actually, it was right around my 18th month mark. It was like, I did a couple battle royals towards the end of 99, like November, December. Had my first official singles match in January of 2000, and then in June of 2001, I did my first tour. So it was right around, right at the 18th month mark. for me. I got it through Harley Race. Got invited to a tryout out at his school out there, and was one of the guys that they picked to go. And it was a little bit overwhelming, because I'd always wanted to go to Japan. It was one of my goals when I got into wrestling. But, it was a little bit overwhelming. I mean, I took full advantage of the opportunity that I got, but getting that break of being able to go to work for Pro Wrestling Noah that early. It was a little bit overwhelming, though, because it's something that you want, and then all of a sudden you've got it, and it's like, whoa, I'm getting to go kind of thing. But it was great. Like I said, I had a lot of singles matches that first tour because it was a junior heavyweight tournament. Got to tag a couple times with Scorpio on that tour, and then I did another one in 2001 in December. Got to tag with Scorpio on that one as well. So it was just a great learning experience being able to go that early in my career, and I think it really helped mold the wrestler that I would become later on, just from what I've learned over there, and getting introduced to that style so early.
So during your first stint in Japan, what would you say you learned? Like, what would you say you got out of your first stint in Japan that really helped shape your career, if anything?
It's just like the difference in the style. It's there's like a typical structure to a match here in the United States that you're taught, the psychology, I guess you could say, behind the match and stuff, and it's a little bit different. The match is structured a little different there. So it just helped, to me, to learn that style, to learn that structuring of a match and whatnot. That was the biggest difference that I noticed when I went over, and I just tried to take bits and pieces of how they would structure it and kind of make it make sense over here. And then, of course, like some of the moves, like, of course, I was a fan of, like, Misawa and Akiyama and Kobashi and those guys from the All Japan, the, mid to late 90s All Japan stuff. And getting a chance, to watch those guys. Well, Kobashi wasn't working that first tour, but, like, Misawa and Akiyama, getting a chance to watch those guys, because I would try and watch, the rest of the show. After I got done, I'd get showered up real quick, change, and then get to where I could watch the rest of the show. Just being able to watch those guys, and of course, like we're taking the exploder suplex from Akiyama and using that over here. Some of the different moves that I had saw over there, kind of bringing those and then incorporating them into my style.
How long did you live in Japan for during your first stint? Because I know, like, usually for most guys when they go over there, they stay in the country for a couple weeks, maybe a month or two, and, they live in, like, certain
Yeah, I didn't
places.
actually. I was just there, like 2.5 weeks the first time I went, like 17, 18 days. Something like it wasn't like an extended stay. Like I went and lived in the dojo for like 3 months, which some guys, get that chance and that opportunity, and they'll go, stay in the dojo and train every day and work the tours and stuff. I just did that. I want to say 18 days or something like that the first tour, and the second one I did in December was like 3.5 weeks. It was a little bit longer.
And then you also went back to Japan in, I believe, around 2005. Again for Noah, and then around 2007 or 2008, that was when Ring of Honor first went to Japan too to do their shows. So my question is, what for you? Were there any differences during your second, third times going to Japan than the first? Like, since you've already been to Japan, did you already go into it knowing a lot about the culture and about the fans, about the wrestling there, or did you learn anything new?
You're gonna get the first time you go, it's a little bit of a culture shock, just because it's completely different country, completely different culture. So in the future times that you go, you know what to expect culture-wise. The cultural differences. You're starting to catch on to things that. The differences in the culture and stuff like that, you catch on fairly quickly. So after that first time, the first time is really when you get the culture shock to it, and then after that, you kind of know what to expect. But, there wasn't many changes. business was down a little bit when I went back in '05, and then it was down a little bit further when I went back. I went back in '07 for the 2 Ring of Honor shows, and I went back for like a 2.5 week tour in 2008, which is where I ended up injuring my wrist and ended up not working after that for a couple of years just because I had gotten lazy and out of shape and so on and so forth. But yeah, like once, like that would probably be the biggest difference. I mean, the style kind of stayed the same and stuff like that. But like I said, business was down a little bit from what it was from '01 to '05, and it was down some more even from what it was in '05 when I went back in '08.
Now, during all your tours of Japan, all of them, do you have a favorite match or even moment or memory that you really cherish in your career?
I mean, like the guys I got to wrestle while I was over there. Like I had a couple of different singles matches with Marufuji. I actually got to wrestle him on a Ring of Honor pay-per-view here in the United States as well. I got to work singles matches with Kenta. Did the semi-main in '08 on the first night of the tour. It was me, Nigel, and Kenta for the Ring of Honor world title in Tokyo there. So that was really cool. Getting to, wrestle in a tag match against Akiyama. Did a 6-man with Kobashi. Did a couple tags and 6-mans. Getting to wrestle Misawa there in '08. So, just like the guys I got to be in the ring with, I got to do singles matches, had a couple of really good singles matches with one of their, well, he's not there anymore, but he was one of the top juniors at Noah, Kenny Maru, who was like a junior champ. I got to have a couple of really good matches with him. So it's mostly just, the guys I actually got to wrestle, guys that I would see on tape and stuff when I first started, and then I'm actually getting a chance to get in the ring with those guys was really awesome.
Now, what would be your advice to any young competitors, any young wrestlers out there wanting to go to Japan, if you have any advice for them?
Just work hard. The cream always seems to rise to the top. A lot of it is just being in the right place at the right time, knowing the right person that has a connection over there. I mean, that's a lot of it for me. That first time I got to go was just luck of, doing some shows for Harley liking, my work and liking me as a person and, inviting me out to the tryout. I was in the right place at the right time and the right opportunity was there. So a lot of it's luck, but, just work hard. Wrestle as much as you can over here. Get as good as you can. And, like I said, usually the cream will rise to the top and you'll get an opportunity. It's just being ready to seize that opportunity, I guess.
No, all good points. And as far as Japan goes, my last question is, would you ever go back if the opportunity arose?
Yeah, if I got the chance to go back and do a tour. But, I've been kind of busy. Went back to school last August and taking some college classes, actually, full load every semester. It took 7 hours worth of classes worth over the summer. So it'd kind of be hard for me to fit it in right now. I'd have to find, the opportune time, to go. But, I would definitely, do another tour.
Sounds good. Next up, as far as the international flavors goes, you also went to Europe for a couple times in, I want to say 2006 and 2007, as part of, again, Ring of Honor shows there, and you also wrestled for a couple of promotions there, like WXW, IPW UK. So yeah, let's talk about that. What were your experiences in Europe like, as far as wrestling in those promotions and for those types of fans?
When we went to, let's see, what was it, 2006, I believe it was the first time Ring of Honor took a crew over to England, and we had 2 shows. We did Liverpool, and we did London, or Broxbourne, which is, I guess, a town there in London, or a section of London. It was down, towards London, where the second show was. And then the guy that helped promote the shows there in the UK, Alex Shane, which I forget which promotion he had something to do with over there, but he was like helping promote the Ring of Honor shows there. Well, he told any of us that wanted to stay that he would get us booked out and we could stay like for 2 weeks. So I think pretty much all of us that Ring of Honor brought over Ended up staying for the extra 2 weeks, and Alex, had us booked out, 5-6 nights a week, pretty much, so we could do, different shows. It was me, Davey, and Go Shiozaki. Flew from London to Dusseldorf, Germany, and did the show for WXW, and then flew back to London, and then took a drive to Newcastle, wrestled a show in Newcastle that night. This is all like the last couple of days of the tour, then drove back, straight back from Newcastle to Heathrow Airport and caught our flights home. So that was a busy, couple of days there for us, at least for the three of us. And then, it was just, it's a little bit different. I did I forget what they call it, but it was like a round where they did the rounds, rules. I forget what the name of it is, but I did one of those matches with Davey Richards.
Yeah, I think you're referring to the World of Sport match.
Yes, like that style, like that you see like on YouTube from the World of Sport matches that were on there, were like the rounds and stuff. We did like that kind of rules match in like a real small ring. It's one of the smallest rings I've ever been. I think it was like a 14-foot ring, pretty small, but it was, it was fun being able to, try and work that style. A little different. I just kind of, did my thing over there. I figured if they're, wanting to book an American guy, they don't want to see an American guy attempt to do a European style that he really knows nothing about. You know what I'm saying? So I just did my thing while I was over there. I figured, if they're bringing an American guy, they want to see him do somewhat of the American style. So that's, it was, but doing the World of Sports rules match or whatever was a little different, but it was cool.
Now, from your experience over there, what do you think are the main differences between the independent wrestling scene here in the United States versus over there in Europe?
As far as like the independent scene over there, I don't like. It seems to be like, I don't know, like I don't keep up with it that much. I don't know if there's more opportunity to wrestle and work more here in the United States. It just seems like to me there would be more opportunity here than there would be over there. I mean, but those guys seem to stay pretty busy over there. I know some of the guys go over and work for Brian Dixon, who runs the Butlins shows, which is like a vacation area where people go to for a vacation weekend. They call them holiday weekends or something over there, and he runs those Butlin camp shows where they're wrestling 6-7 times a week. I know a lot of guys like Brian Danielson has done that. Nigel's done that before. On to work for Brian over there. So if you get on one of Brian Dixon's tours doing those Butlin camps, then you're working every night. But outside of that, I'm not sure how busy they stay. You probably could stay a little busier here in the United States, I would assume.
Now, I know it was kind of a tough question earlier, but once again, do you have any favorite matches or memories, moments from any of your times over in Europe?
I just went the 2 times. I went the time in 06 when we were over there 2 weeks, and then I went for 4 or 5 days, and maybe 3 or 4 days, I forget what it was, in 07, just for the 2 Ring of Honor shows. When we went in 06, there was 5 or 6 of us. We had a couple days off, and we went to Amsterdam for a couple days, which was really cool. Going over there, very liberal city. It was a good time. Had a lot of fun there for the couple of days we were there. Had a really good match with Go Shiozaki at the Broxbourne show there on that first tour. Had a really good Falls Count Anywhere match with Jimmy Jacobs the second time we went in 07. That was really good. Doing that World of Sports rules match or whatever with Davey was something different. Something that sticks out. It was like, in that small ring too, is something that sticks out in my mind.
And then, once again, if the chance came up, would you ever consider going back to for another European tour?
Yeah, I would go back. Like I said, it just, for me to be able to go somewhere outside of the country at this point, going to be a little difficult just because of my school schedule. I'm, taking, what I have, 16 hours last semester or 17 hours. No, I'm trying to think. I think I had 15 hours. No, I think I took 17 last semester, and I got 14 this semester. So, I'm just taking, full load of classes. It should be kind of hard for me to find time. And then I'm taking, at least 1 or 2 summer classes, too, to try to get done quicker. just because, I waited so long to go back to school or whatever, but I didn't want to get it done as quick as possible. But it would just be hard for me to find the time to be able to do it. But I definitely would if I could fit it in.
That's good. That's good. Are there any other places, any other countries, perhaps, that you would jump at the chance of traveling to and wrestling there?
I would like to, definitely do, like, I always considered, like, growing up, reading the magazines, like, the hotbeds of wrestling, like, England and, Europe, that, I don't know if you like, Austria, I guess, at the time was running to, there. So to be able to go to England or Europe, was one goal. Japan was always a hotbed. Puerto Rico always seemed really hot, growing up, like, Carlos Colon's promotion seemed to be a lot of Americans going over there and stuff. Mexico. So Mexico's the one of the hotbeds, because I was able to do England, Europe, able to do Japan, able to go to Puerto Rico. Mexico's been the one that I haven't been able to go to, so I would definitely like to fit in a trip to Mexico at some point in time.
Alright, yeah. You hear a lot of crazy stories about the wrestling scene down in Mexico, so if you go, I pray that everything goes well.
Yeah, you hear a lot of horror stories, about, things down there, but, to be able to, just to say you did it, I would definitely like to do it.
That's good. So we talked about, we mentioned Ring of Honor a couple times, so, going into that, my next questions are, you wrestled in Ring of Honor starting in 2003, at the beginning of 2003, all the way up until 2008, until you took your short break, and then it wasn't until 2012, shortly after you returned to the independent wrestling scene, that you made your return to Ring of Honor full time, and that was around the time that St. Clair bought the promotion, and a lot of things changed after that. So, my question is, in your eyes, what has changed the most about Ring of Honor from where it was back then when you first started out to where it is today? And do you think overall it's changed for the better?
Let me see. Yeah, I started in January of 03 to wrestle there until, was it March of 08? And, I was burned out at that point in 08. I've said this, in other interviews I've done. I was burned out, but I never meant to take, 2.5 years off, or almost 3 years off or whatever. I ended up taking that tour in Japan. They called me, shortly after I put in my notice with Ring of Honors. I'd actually put in my notice towards the end of January, and they finished me up in mid-March or the end of March, and then I was already booked on that tour. They called me in February, Noah did, and booked me on a tour. So I went on ahead and took that tour, and I was like, I'll finish up this tour in June. I'll take off till, the fall, maybe winter, and then maybe come back. But I ended up hurting my wrist in Japan, having to have surgery on it, and I just got out of shape and kind of, just faded away. I actually started back wrestling in March of 2011. Was kind of talking to Ring of Honor then a little bit right after my comeback. But I want to say Sinclair bought them in May, I believe it was, of 2011. So when they got bought, they kind of put a hold on bringing anybody new in at that point, and everything was kind of up in the air, kind of going through that process, that adjustment process of the new ownership and whatnot. And then they brought me in for the Cincinnati house show they did in February of 2012. They liked what they saw with me. I had been wrestling through most of 2011. I had, done matches with, had a couple good matches with Michael Elgin, had a couple good matches with Adam Cole, with Davey Richards. These guys were all going back and reporting back to Ring of Honor. You get BJ back here. He's in great shape. His work's as good as it's ever been. Really need to get him back. They finally brought me back in February 2012. Did some sporadic shows for them through the rest up until, I guess it was July of 2012, and then Kenny King left and went to TNA, and that opened up a spot. They slid me in full time. I started full time there in September of 2012. I guess it was when I got my full-time spot back. But I had been doing shows like from February until September, doing shows that I could drive to, basically, that were, within driving distance of Cincinnati here. I did Cincinnati, did Chicago and Dayton, I did Charleston, West Virginia, did Milwaukee, different shows like that. And then you asked what was the best of that question, how it had changed. From when I first started, we definitely reach a broader audience with Sinclair there, Sinclair being our owners and being, at 30-something%, almost 40% of the markets of the U.S. We definitely have a broader outreach for the Ring of Honor brand than what we ever had before. I wasn't there during the HDNet days, but, that definitely increased the brand awareness of Ring of Honor being on HDNet, but I think being on Sinclair has increased it even further, just because it has it reaches a bigger percentage of it. If I'm not mistaken, I believe it reaches a bigger percentage of the markets within the U.S. And then it's just more of a corporate feel to it. Like before, when we would bring our receipts in, we'd bring our receipts in right there in to the building or whatever, and they'd just go to the cash box and we'd give them the receipts, they'd add them up, and they'd just give us cash, to reimburse us for our for our gas or whatever. Now, it's more corporate. You have to submit your receipts with an expense report, itemizing out what each receipt is, and that kind of thing. And, then it takes, a week or 10 days for you to get your check. They send you, a check instead of getting cash. It's just more of a paper trail, more of a corporate feel to it as far as that goes. But, that's with any corporation. They're just not going to give you money out of a cash box for receipts. You're going to have to submit your receipts with an expense report and that sort of thing. But that's really the biggest change. The more corporate feel and the bigger, the broader audience that we get. We have, like I said, a bigger outreach for the Ring of Honor brand now.
So, do you think overall it's changed for the better?
Well, when you're being seen by almost 40% of the country, how could that not be better? You know what I'm saying? You go from being a DVD, only, to a small percentage of the wrestling, of the wrestling fans. You have a much, you can attract more fans, I guess you could say, with that broader outreach. So, yeah, I think, anytime you grow like that, there's going to be growing pains and stuff like that. But I definitely think, when you're reaching 40% or whatever it is, 38% of the markets within the U.S., how can that be a bad thing?
Oh, no, absolutely. I see it a lot online. Some fans don't like all these changes for Ring of Honor, but, like you said, there are growing pains within any type of growth within a company, and I believe you're right in saying that. And
then there's also, there's wrestling fans that are going to complain regardless.
Well, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I've learned that over the last, been around this business almost 15 years now, and there's just people that are always going to complain. They're going to find something wrong no matter what you do. You're always going to have people out there that are going to complain and find a reason to bitch and moan about something. But that's with anything. That's with, pro football or any, professional sport. There's always going to be a group of people out there that are going to complain, no matter what happens or what, a team or an organization does.
Yeah, totally agree with that. It's just how it is.
Yeah. Yep.
Now, it was a couple months ago at All-Star Extravaganza in August that you had a match with Michael Bennett, and it was a very, I don't know how to describe it exactly. It was a very scary moment for a lot of people. Of course, you yourself and a lot of fans there, I'm sure a lot of the boys in the back were very concerned. You took a pile driver to the head, and it seemed like you couldn't really move for a couple seconds, for a couple minutes, and it was very scary for a lot of people. I'm sure you were more terrified than anyone. So
yeah, absolutely.
So going through that, well, right there and then, what were you thinking during those moments of?
Like we had called the move. You know, we were going to do the pile driver on the apron as like one of the near falls or whatever. I'm not sure what happened. I haven't watched it that closely. I've kind of glanced at the screen when it was on. They had it on one of the shows a few weeks back or whatever. Kind of glanced over and but didn't watch it intently. My head slipped through. My head hit. Kind of like the only thing that I can compare it to would be when Austin took that set out tombstone from Owen and compressed his C-spine. Basically, same thing happened to me. My head hit first, and it compressed my whole C-spine together. It bruised my spinal cord, which I ended up was bored the other day on. They sat here and watching Netflix and watched Austin. I guess it would have probably been Austin's DVD, but it's the the documentary that they put on there on Netflix for Austin, and he actually said it bruised his spinal cord at C3, C4, which is exactly where I bruised my spinal cord. So it's basically the same injury from that incident, yeah, except like he lost feeling and movement down both sides there for a couple minutes. I just lost it down my right side of my body. And listening to him talk, explaining it is the exact same thing and the exact same feeling I had, except mine just went down the right side of my body. His was down both sides. And I knew when I hit, I felt my neck crack, like if you've ever gotten an adjustment at a chiropractor and you do like you hear it pop like down, like each vertebrae. It kind of sounded like that. It kind of crunched them all together. And when I hit the floor, I went to move, and my left side, I could move my left arm or left leg, but my right side wouldn't move. I actually rolled over and grabbed my arm and kind of picked it up, and it was just couldn't move, and I couldn't feel it. It was probably the most terrifying moment of my life because I didn't know if I was ever going to get the feeling back, be able to move that side of my body. So, kind of go into panic mode there. But as I laid there and they got the C-collar put on me, the plastic C-collar, and got me strapped to the backboard, eventually the feeling started to come back. I was able to start wiggling my fingers and my toes and stuff on that right side. And by the time they were carrying me out, I could pick my arm up and stuff like that, and could lift my leg and stuff like that. But then when I was watching that Austin documentary or whatever, he said once the feeling came back, it was his front delts, the front of his shoulder, his anterior delts were on fire. Same thing with me. First, it started in my anterior delt, and it felt like it was on fire, and then my upper pec on that right side and my trap on that right side all felt like once the feeling came back more and the movement came back more, it felt like those three muscles and the skin and stuff just was burning. I've never felt a nerve pain like that before, but it was just an intense burning. And then it stayed that way. It was, the skin stayed hypersensitive, and I guess it was just where that nerve had been injured and was healing, but it stayed sensitive. It felt like when I would just to wear a t-shirt, it felt like needles were being jammed in the skin, on my upper pec, my anterior delt, my trap on that right side for a couple weeks. But now it's pretty much cleared up. There's one small spot on my anterior delt, it's about the size of a quarter, that if I touch it, it'll feel like it tingles a little bit. But that's the only, the only lasting effect I felt. And it's slowly, shrinking. That spot is slowly shrinking. But yeah, that's the only residual effect I have of it.
Oh man, that all sounds. Yeah.
It was scary, man. It was definitely scary.
And it was a month and a half later at another Ring of Honor show, Death Before Dishonor, that you announced your retirement. And, a lot of fans like myself were deeply saddened to hear that, but then it was 30 months later, luckily, at a final battle, that you actually made your in-ring return, teaming up with Eddie Edwards against Lethal and Roderick Strong. So, my two questions are, during those couple months, were there any real considerations of retirement from you? And then, after that, when do you know for sure that you will be able to get back in the ring?
Okay. We have I want to approach this here. Damn. You gotta put me on the spot here with it. Well, I'll start it off by saying this. I was never supposed to be the mystery partner for Eddie there at Final Battle. I was there to do the angle that we did afterwards, but I was never originally supposed to be a part of that match. Some plans had fallen through and stuff the week of the show. That kind of, and actually that day as well. I just happened to, that morning before I caught my flight up to New York, figured the weather was bad. I was going ahead and throw a set of gear in my bag last minute, just on the fly. You know, it was a fluke. I was just like, you know what, I'll throw my boots, my kick pads, my trunks, you know, my rain jacket in there just in case, you know, the weather's going to be bad or whatever. So I ended up, you know, luckily that I did, because they ended up needing me that evening for the show. But I was only there to do the angle that we did afterwards, but I was never supposed to be in that match. You know, they had hyped it up so much because of who they were trying to get and who they had thought they had for it, and then that ended up falling through. So, you know, maybe it was a little bit of a letdown to the live crowd, but, you know, the way Nigel played it off in his promo at the beginning, I think, you know, helped, you know, ease that disappointment that some of the fans might have had, because it's just simply because it was hyped up, you know, as to who it was going to, you know, it was going to be, you know, this great surprise or whatever. But let me see. And then the first part is, what was it, something about the retirement there?
Yeah, when were there any real considerments of you retiring after the injury?
Yeah, it boiled down to if I was going to need my neck fused, is all what it boiled down to me. And, you know, for the angle and storyline wise, we had two different ways it could go depending on what was going to happen and what word I got back on if I needed spinal fusion or not. And I think, as you can tell by the way everything is played out, that I don't need my neck fused. So I was very lucky, you know, and but the injury wasn't worse, you know, than what it was. So I don't need my neck fused or anything, and that was the big thing, you know, because if I needed my neck fused, you know, that's 12 months out, you know, and I would have pretty much, you know, I could have probably come back from it had I needed my neck fused, but, you know, shoot, I'm no spring chicken no more, you know, so a year out, you know, it put me, you know, a little old. I mean, I could have done it just because I have the work ethic and, you know, the heart and the drive and the desire to do it, but it would have been difficult. It would have been real difficult to have come back from, and at that point, you know, I would have been close to being done with school and stuff like that, so, you know, but I don't need my neck fused, so I was figuring I'd give it, let this extend this run out a little bit more, and let's, you know, make a good storyline out of the whole ordeal, which I think we have, and which is still developing as we speak, you know, so I'm interested to see how the rest of this storyline that we've kind of developed plays out, and, you know, that kind of thing, and hopefully be able to work until, you know, I'm at least done with school. You know, that's my game plan.
All right. Well, I mean, just personally as a fan, is amazing to see you back in the ring. I'm really looking forward to 2014 and seeing what's next for you.
Yeah, me too. I'm excited about 2014 as well. We got some, you know, stuff going on with Ring of Honor, you know, with me and Jimmy and Roddy. There's a crew there, you know, and, you know, new you know, storyline starting out with us and stuff. So I'm interested to see how it plays out. We tape our first TV Saturday in Nashville, so no, I'm excited to see how things go for us. You know, we've got, you know, big year coming up, looks like, for AIW as well. You know, I'm always, you know, in places, you know, like a second home to me now. You know, the guys have done, you know, so much for me, helping me out, you know, on my when I first came back. You know, it was my first, you know, kind of coming out party. Was there now called the JT Lightning Tournament. It wasn't called the JT Lightning Tournament that year, but, you know, that was kind of like my coming out duty. They gave me, you know, were able to let me, you know, showcase my skills and show that I still had it. And, you know, and those guys are taking care of me and put me on pretty much every show they've had since then. You know, every show that I could make, you know, I've been on. So, you know, I love working there. They drew their biggest house, you know, in a long time, maybe ever. Just this past, was it a week ago or whatever, week and a half ago.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever it was. You know, big house, you know, great show. You know, they're on a roll now. And I'm glad to be a part of, you know, things going on there. I know Ian Rotten has started running some shows again. I'm interested to see if he can get things turned around and get, you know, IWA Mid-South back to the, you know, to prominence on the independent scene, you know, as it once was. You know, it'd be a heck of a turnaround, you know, if he could do that. So, you know, I'll be, you know, working for him as well. So, yeah, I'm excited to see what 2014 holds.
Yep, absolutely, man. I'm excited for you. I'm excited for all of 2014 as far as independent wrestling goes. You know, you just listed a couple of great promotions that I think fans should be keeping their eyes out of, especially AIW. You know, I'm a little biased because I'm a Cleveland guy, but AIW,
they're on a roll,
you know,
man. They're on a roll. You know,
yeah.
Don't sleep on that company, man. They putting some good stuff together.
No, absolutely not. I think more fans should be coming out to Turner's Hall. I think they need to, like, break down the building, like, add, like, more room to it, just so more fans could come in, because
they need to be drawing, you know, what we did this last show. That needs to be every month, man. It ought to be every month like that.
No, absolutely. And, yeah, I look forward to 2014 for all of independent wrestling, so.
Absolutely.
Well, BJ, I, again, thank you for coming on for the show, sitting with me for close to an hour and just discussing your career. So, just to end things on a high note, is there anything else you'd like to say? Anything else you'd like to plug?
Yeah, I got a Twitter. It's at BJ_Whitmer on there. I'm not on there that much. I got a Facebook as well. You can find me on there, send me a message, whatever. I mean, I'll surf around. I don't post a whole lot of stuff on there. I'll surf around just to see what people are posting, you know, get a laugh, you know, sometimes. Twitter or whatever, you know, I'll retweet some things and stuff like that. But you can find me on those two social medias. Like I said, got, you know, the next, you know, few weeks, a couple Ring Honor shows. Got Nashville, Saturday, the 4th, the 4th is Nashville. 25th is Pittsburgh, the 11th at, what's that, IWA Mid-South. I got, AIW coming up on the 7th, I think. I'll be there. Not sure if they're just going to have me in my backstage role there still, or if I'm actually going to be on the show. You know, I enjoy doing the backstage thing there, you know, helping produce promos and, you know, doing commentary and just helping, you know, helping with the show, helping out backstage and stuff. So we'll see, you know, if I'm actually on the show, if I'm just doing that again. But, you know, everybody make sure you go to smartmarkvideo.com, check out AIW stuff. I know they sell a lot of stuff through Smart Mark Video. So, you know, check them out.
Right on, and, you know, whether it's just a backstage role or in the ring, I think AIW is very lucky to have a guy like you working with the company. And
thank you.
And, yeah, and no matter what, I definitely look forward to seeing you in AIW more in 2014. So
yeah, I'm looking forward to getting back there.
Yeah. So, yeah, BJ, thank you again for coming on for the podcast. I hope you have safe travels to Nashville, and best of luck to you this weekend with anything and everything that you have on your plate.
Thank you very much, and thanks for having me on the podcast.
Thanks. And then, so for BJ Whitmer, my name's Juicy Pat Lucy, and thank you for listening to the Juicy Details. Well, hope you see you next time.